Hey, it's Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success Seminars, where we share knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life and ageless, anti-aging for your brain, your body, and your future. So the other night I was listening to a talk by the great teacher and healer from Australia, Master John Douglas. To me, he's one of the wisest and most powerful teachers and healers on our planet today. And he was talking about kindness. And the first thing I wrote down when I was taking notes from his talk, he said, being a giver is one of the most important things you could do to mitigate your karma. Now, that's quite a powerful statement from a man who sees way beyond the ordinary. Being a giver is one of the most important things you could do to lessen or alleviate your karma from the past. Well, that was kind of exciting to me. I thought, wow, no matter how gnarly your karma is, you have a way that you can undo the knots. He then used the example of the tithe. And he said, like, when you tithe, people think, well, I'm going to test this out. I'll give 10% and see if my finances improve. And he said, no, that is not the attitude you want to be giving with. We give for the pure joy of giving, not to see what we're going to get back. And then he added that we will eventually get back, but we need to be patient. In his last sentence that he said, he kind of said it under his breath. He said, what I've seen is that most people stop just before they get the rewards. They miss the karmic recalculation moment. Think about that. We know that as you sow, so shall you reap. We know that no act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted. We know that the giver always gets more than the receiver. But did you ever think that you might give up on giving, give up on kindness a moment too soon, just before the karmic recalculation moment? So I want to tell you a story about one of my favorite givers, and his name is Daniel, and he happens to be my son. And ever since Daniel was a little guy, he was a natural giver. And another thing about Daniel is he always loved basketball and was firmly entrenched in the basketball community in Chicago from the time he played small fry basketball in grammar school. So one day when Daniel was a freshman in high school, he was asked by a gentleman at least 3 times his age if he would help recruit for that man's nonprofit high school basketball player showcase. Showcases are when the players play against one another in kind of a round robin tournament, and college scouts come and watch them play. Now, the price tag to be in the showcase was several $100s. This didn't seem like a huge price for the potential to be seen by a college coach and hopefully be offered a life-changing college scholarship. But Daniel soon discovered that most of the potential showcase participants he contacted didn't have that kind of money. In fact, many didn't even have the money for the train fare to get to the showcase, which was being held like way far up in the northern suburbs of Chicago. So Daniel asked the organizer if he could reduce the price for the kids with the greatest need. And the answer he received was no. That moment was the catalyst for the formation of Daniel's nonprofit, Shot in the Dark Foundation, which he founded at the ripe old age of 15 to put on free basketball showcases for kids in the more challenged neighborhoods of Chicago. The plan was that he would solicit donations from donors, and those donations would pay for the thousands of dollars of expenses, which included renting the gyms, paying the refs, paying the triage, jerseys for the players, thousands of dollars that it took to put on a showcase. But any player would be invited to play in the showcase no matter what their financial status, and thus have a chance to be seen by college coaches and potentially get a scholarship and an opportunity for a radically different life. Well, we are never the discouragement committee with our kids when they have even wild ideas at the age of 15. So Daniel put on his first showcase and it had about 20 coaches and about 50 players. And his last one before COVID had 140 coaches and about 350 players. And to date, his foundation has generated close to $70 million in college scholarships for the kids in the city of Chicago. So you ask, what does this have to do with mitigating your karma? Well, one day after a very successful showcase, it was probably just his second or third year, but I know this one was clearly going to be generating millions of dollars in scholarships for the in attendance. I finally asked Daniel, who never took a penny for himself. I said, is there a way that you can maybe make some money for yourself? And he said, Mom, just be patient. I'm building relationship capital. Actually, he said, Mom, chill. I'm building relationship capital. Just to be honest there. Anyway, well, that sounded like a good idea. So I let go for a while. And as time went on, I watched as he helped player after player get six-figure scholarships. And after a while, it became difficult for me to chill. So, I mean, I loved what he was doing and was immensely proud of him. But given the long hours he spent day in and day out, and by then he had even dropped out of high school to support his full-time nonprofit, his reasoning was, Mom, I can't sit in a classroom learning calculus and physics and things I'm never, ever going to use in my life when I could be helping to change thousands of these kids' lives. And he didn't get an argument from me. But again, after a couple of years, I had to broach the subject of maybe him making some money. So I'm like, Daniel, there must be some way for you to make a little money yourself in this endeavor. And his reply was an even more emphatic, Mom, you'll see. I'm doing this because I want to see players succeed. Just trust me. I'll end up getting much more back than money. And anyway, I don't want to break any NCAA rules by taking payment by scouting. So just hang in there. And hang in there I did. And within a short time, NBA players looking for a way to give back to their communities began supporting Daniel's showcase, with the NBA itself giving matching funds. Shoe companies with household names became sponsors. And when Daniel decided he wanted to make a documentary on high school basketball in Chicago, someone with whom Daniel had built relationship capital invested hundreds of thousands of dollars to cover the production costs, and the film was bought by Fox and nominated for an Emmy. And the story continues. Daniel's nonprofit, now managed by a team of dedicated Chicagoans, left Daniel free to start his own sports management firm. And the investor in this new firm was, you guessed it, someone with whom Daniel had built relationship capital. So one day, as I was marveling at how vast his influence had become in the world of basketball, at this point, everyone wanted to be a part of Team Daniel. I complimented him and said, thank you, Daniel, for teaching me about relationship capital. You were absolutely right. Building it has really paid off in the end. It's a brilliant concept. And he replied, Mom, why are you thanking me? I learned it from you. You always taught me that giving it is its own reward. And you taught me that the person standing in front of you at any given moment is the most important person in the world and needs to be treated that way. And we give for the sake of giving and not to expect a thank you or anything in return. We don't give to be appreciated or acknowledged or recognized. We give because the giving is its own reward. And remember, Mom, you always told me not to give up before that magic karmic mitigation moment. Well, guilty as charged. You know, so many people give so that they can buy a person's loyalty or have their favor, or they tie so that their names can go up on a plaque, or they can tell everyone how they belong to some society or that society, and everyone is like, oh, wow, you're so amazing. And actually, that's too bad, because there's a powerful quote from the Old Testament, and it goes like this. It goes, do not practice your alms before men to be seen of them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. So when you do your alms, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may have the honor of men. Truly, I say to you, then they have their reward in full. But when you give, do not let your left hand know what your right hand doeth. And then you will have your reward from your Father who is in heaven. In other words, When you give, whether it's a tithe or a random act of kindness, don't do it for the recognition. Just keep doing those acts of kindness or charity selflessly without a thought of return. Don't keep score, because if you give just for the pure joy of giving, then you will be building relationship capital where it is most important, and that is with Source, Spirit, the universe, the God of your understanding. And one day you will have that karmic recalculation moment, that watershed moment when the good you do tips the scales and life gives you the most precious reward, an abundance of divine grace. So thanks for listening, and may you enjoy creating an abundance of relationship capital. Lots of love to you. See you next week.